Hi everyone, this is Whitney with my week 7 discussion forum post. The first question is, what is one thing you learned about yourself from taking the Big 5 personality test? One thing that I learned about myself, which wasn't really new information, it was just really like highlighted in that, is how emotional of a person I am and how intensely I feel emotions, and also how that shapes my reaction to life or just little things or whatever. It just kind of helped me explain like why I feel things so deeply, and why empathy is both a strength but also a weakness for me, which you just kind of seeing the way that it asked the questions and stuff really just helped explain that for me, and it also just kind of made my personality seem more understandable to myself. The next question is, which other theories of personality development help you understand yourself or others? Trait theory really helps me because it shows me certain qualities and like how they're stable over time. And then also humanistic theory, it just makes sense to me. The idea that people grow best when they're supported and accepted and loved, that just really connects with me, and also my work and my personal life and all the things I do. And it kind of helps explain why, when I'm in a stressful environment, I don't thrive, versus when I'm in a more calm and accepting environment, I do thrive. The next question is, how might personality contribute to mental health challenges? Personality really influences how someone reacts to everything in life, whether it's positive or negative. And people who are sensitive or reactive can become more overwhelmed by life easily, and I definitely feel that. That's why I say that empathy can be a weakness, because I'm like, if you've ever felt yourself crying about something that's not your problem, like, it affects you. And then also it just makes me think about like resilience and flexibility, and being someone who considers themselves very resilient, but I do struggle with the flexibility aspect of things. It makes challenges easier to handle. So, yeah. Do you know anyone with a mental health diagnosis? Yes, I actually am diagnosed bipolar, and I have also been diagnosed ADHD as a child, but I consider my bipolar to be, kind of the bigger thing. And then I also have multiple family members who are as well. And so I very personally, on a very deep level, understand having a mental health diagnosis and dealing with it, on your own. And then, what was the rest of it? Oh, it was just that. Just, do you know anyone? Yes. What is discouraging about mental health disorders? What is encouraging? I think a big part that is discouraging is the stigma behind it, which, I went through a period of my life where, like, I refused to accept my diagnosis because it was, like, shameful for me, especially having people in my family who had similar diagnoses, and seeing how it was talked about, or like how even my parents framed it, and people don't understand, the symptoms aren't always something that you can see or you predict or any of that, and it's sometimes really hard to find the right treatment or what works for you, and it's not the same for one person. And so those are just kind of the discouraging things for me. Encouraging, I think, is like the change that we've seen in mental health, even in, my father's 72 years old. When I was a child, the conversation was always, mental health isn't real, counseling isn't real, psychology isn't real. It was always, you're either tough or you're not. And I don't feel like the world is that way anymore. And even the growth that I've seen in my own father, who, I've explained to him where it's like, he at times made fun of the meds I was on and would make comments about that, and I explained to him, like, hey, this is keeping me and you alive. And just explaining like what what happens in your mind when you're not getting the right care, and what happens in your mind when you are, and how doing the right things for you can really make the biggest difference for everyone in your life. And I think that that's the most encouraging thing, is the change in the stigma and the acceptance and the movement to make mental health more understood and more thought about. Thank you.